Hai, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to everyone.
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
Alright, okay, can we start now? How are you
Yes,
today?
sir.
Okay, great. How are you today?
Good,
Good,
sir.
sir.
Good, sir.
Good, Alhamdulillah. Okay, first of all, I would like to wish to all you guys Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, maaf zahir dan batin. Okay, and today is Hari Raya kelima, am I right? The fifth Hari Raya celebration. Okay, and today I would like to share with you guys for the next chapter, chapter 8. The title of this chapter is about organization structure and control system. And I believe you already learned a little bit, okay, a simple one regarding the organizational structure, okay, during the principle of management subject. Either you are from the foundation level or maybe from diploma, okay, especially for the diploma in business level, okay, you learn a little bit about the organization structure. Okay, but here today I would like to share with you guys for the overview, okay, regarding for the organization structure for the international business and how the international business or MNC or MNE try to have the control system for their organizational structure. Okay, and this topic we have 5 learning goals. Okay, the first one is to understand the importance of appropriate organizational structures to effective strategy implementation. So means here we try to understand how this organizational structure is very important, okay, to make sure they can give something like a good effective strategy implementation for the organization. That's the first learning goals. The second one is to become familiar with the types of organizational design suitable for the level and scope of internationalization of the firms. So we try to know what are the types of the organizational design suitable for the level of and scope for the international or for if you want to go for the international level or global level. Okay, that's the second one. The third learning goals from this chapter is to understand the role of technology in the evolution of the network structure and to appreciate the role of teams in achieving business goals. So we try to understand what are the role of the technology, because as we know, if you want to go for the international level, we must have our own system and we must have our own technology. Okay, and sometimes because of the evaluation, okay, the evolution start from the first we go to for the international level until now. So what are the evolution in terms of the network structure? They can give some the achieving for the business or for the organization, especially for their business goals. That the third learning goals from this chapter. And then the learning goals number 4 is to realize how organizational design affect managers' job. For example, on the level and location of decision making. Okay, so after you choose for the organizational design, sometimes they may affect for your the manager jobs, especially during decision making. Okay, either they want to centralize or decentralize. Okay, so this become one of the effect. Okay, either they can give the decision making from the local manager, or maybe from the HQ or headquarters, or maybe home country. Okay, and then the last one is to emphasize the role of control and a monitoring system suitable for specific situations in the firm's international operation. So we try to emphasize what are the role for each control and monitoring system, okay, especially for the SOP from the HQ. Sometimes they can give some monitoring system, especially if you have a lot of subsidiaries or other company in other country. Okay, so these are the 5 learning goals from this chapter for chapter 8. So we start with the first learning goals, to understand the importance of appropriate organizational structures to effective strategy implementation. So if we look at based on this case or this situation for the BMG is one of the company under the music company for your information. BMG signs distribution deal with Alibaba. And as you know, Alibaba is one of the famous and what we call it for the e-commerce company, okay, and Alibaba from China. Okay, so China leading e-commerce group Alibaba has signed a deal with music company BMG, and then the deal includes digital rights to more than 2.5 million recordings. And then the tie-up is an indication of Alibaba's intention to grow its share of the music market. Okay, so this is the problem happened. And then the deal reflect optimism that it is possible to make money in China because a center for privacy. Okay, so then another problem happened in China. And then progress on intellectual property or IP issues reflects China's desire to expand into countries with tougher copyright regimes. So this case happened in between the BMG and Alibaba, and as we know, in China, they have a lot of the privacy or copy and paste cases and so on. So they become one of the problem and tough copyrights regime happened by the BMG by using the Alibaba shopping, what we call it, the online shopping center. All right, so the second learning goals from this chapter is to become familiar with the types of organizational design suitable for the level and scope of internationalization of the firm. So in this learning goals, we try to know what are the types of the organizational design we have for the international level. Okay, so the first one is the normal one, the normal organizational structure we have. Okay, we have the CEO. Okay, the main one, and then the top decision at the top level of the decision in organization. So that's for the first one. And then under the organizational structure, they have their own department. So depend if you have more than five, so they have five department for each organizational structure. So in this one, the organization structure they can give must evolve to accommodate internationalization. So they must accommodate with the internationalization, okay, especially if the company is going global. And it should be contingency based and then must fit with the strategy. So depends on the company strategy. So the strategy we can look at based on the vision and mission of the organization. So from here, they can choose either they want to choose for this type of the organizational structure or other types of the organizational structure. Okay. And then the evolution, okay, evolution and change in MNC or multinational corporation organizational structure. So if you look at from here, they have the structural evolution or stages model. So the example of the company is Alcoa. Okay, Alcoa is created smaller units. They start with the smaller units and then link geographically dispersed but similar business. Okay, they start with the small units and then disperse their business and become a similar business, such as in Brazil, in Australia. So this is happened in Alcoa. So they start with a smaller unit and then they based on the geographical disperse. So when we talk about geographical, they are based on the area. Okay, this is another types of organizational structure, and later on we more details about this geographical organizational structure or the area one. Okay, so based on these cases, okay, typical ways to structure international activities. So if you look at from here, they become a structure for the international activities because of domestic structure plus foreign subsidiary. Okay, from the local business, okay, from the local area or business area, and then they have the foreign subsidiary. They have the subsidiary from another country. So this become a typical way to structure international activities. They must have the international organizational structure because they have foreign subsidiary. Okay. The second one is a global product structure. So they are manage or they produce a product for the level for the global level. So of course, when you talk about global product structure, the best organizational structure we can use for the matrix structure. So later on, we have the example of the matrix structure or the organizational structure. They are give more details about the matrix structure. And then the next one is global functional structure. So when you talk about for the global functional structure, normally the best organizational structure we can use for the international division. So we must have a division based on international, maybe country A, country B, country C, and country D, and so on. Okay, this is for the global functional structure. And then domestic structure plus export department. So this organization normally they have domestic structure, and at the same time they export their product or service to the international level. So of course they must have the export departure to make sure they can manage for the international level. Okay, so these are the typical ways to structure international activities. So if you work with the organization, if they have something like foreign subsidiary, export department, and then international division and matrix structure, normally you must have your own international organizational structure. Okay, so far so good. Is it I'm going too fast? So far so good, okay? Is it I'm going too fast? Or okay? Or maintain? The
Okay,
rest?
sir.
So far okay, yeah? All right. I move to the next slide, slide number 10. So this is the first example of organizational structure for the international level. So they have the domestic structure plus foreign subsidiary. Okay, as I mentioned, if they have the activities for the different country, so they plus foreign subsidiary. Even they have their own domestic structure, so they must have the foreign subsidiary structure. So they have the CEO, and then under the CEO, they have the four departments. They have the headquarters department for the finance, production, marketing, and HRM. And then they add another one, okay, for plus foreign subsidiary for VP or Vice President International Operation. Okay, so in this case, they have three countries, okay, Japan, Germany, and Mexico. So this is we can call as the overseas subsidiaries. Okay, so if you look at from here, domestic structure, they have their own structure for the finance, the production, marketing, and HRM. And at the same time, because they have the activities with the foreign subsidiary or foreign country, so they have the VP international operations. So under the operation, so they have the which country they have the foreign subsidiary. Okay, in this case, they have three countries. All right. And then the integrated global structure. Okay, when we talk about integrated, normally they have something like link each other. So international division and global functional structure. So what are the different? So for the international division, organize along functional, product, or geographic lines. Okay, and then for the global functional structure, designed based on the company's function. So depends on the company functions. For that's for the global functional structure. And then for the international division, foreign subsidiaries are organized under the international division. So they have the international division if you look at based on the previous slide. And then for the global functional structure allows for functional specialization and economies of scale. So they have the specialization, and then at the same time they have their own economies of scale. Okay, that's different. And then for the international division, subsidiary managers report to its head. So the subsidiary country just report any problems or any info or something like that to their head. And then for the global functional structure, small firms with highly centralized system. So they use the centralized system. So that's different for the international division and then global functional structure. Okay, and then at the same time, they try to integrate with the global structure. Okay, even they're still in the category for the international part, but they have a different in terms of their division and their functional structure. All right. So this is the second example of the integrated global structure. They have the global product divisional structure. So this is if let's say the company focus for the products, okay, for the product parts, okay. So this one we can call as the division. So if you look at from here, they have the CEO, and then they have the corporate functional staff, and then they have the area specialist. They have the North America, Latin America, Europe, and Far East. So under the CEO also they have the three types of products. Okay, product one division. product 2 division, and then product 3 division. So under the for each division of products, they have the country A and country B. So if let's say they have more than 2 countries, so maybe country A, country B, country C, country D, and other countries. Again, for each country, they have their own department, okay, finance, production, marketing, or maybe HR, maybe IT, and so on. So this is for the, if you look at for the organization, if they use for the structure like this, so they focus based on the product or global product divisional structure. Okay. And then for the second types of the integrated global structure, they have global geographic or area structure. So this is based on their focus based on the area, okay, based on the geographic. So they have the board of director, chairman, and then CEO. Okay, for the under the CEO, they have the VP Finance, a group of VP, VP North America, VP South America, VP Europe, and then VP Pacific. So under the group VP, for example, they have the VP for plastics and then VP for agriculture. So they have 2 types of the under the group of VP. And then under the VP Europe, they have the finance department, France country, and the United Kingdom. So they just give example 2 example of the country. For each country, they have their own department: finance, production, and marketing. So these are the different based on the product or what we call it. Another of the product is divisional. Okay, this one they are based on the area. Okay, they are focused by the area based on the country. So that is different in terms of the integrated global structure for the divisional and then area. Okay, so far so good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, clear. So far clear. This type of the integrated global structure, they have 2 types. Okay, global geographic based on the area, and also for the global product or divisional. Okay, yeah?
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. All right. Next, for the third, the fourth example of the structure we have for the international level is matrix. Okay, matrix geographic structure. Actually, you learned this one in chapter 3, if not mistaken. Okay, matrix geographic structure. So as you know, if you choose for the matrix geographic structure, normally they are more complex. Okay, why they are become more complex? Because if you look at from here, they have the management, and then at the management, they have the research department, production department, sales department, and finance department. So under the department, actually under the management, they have the another area. For example, they are focused based on the Europe, okay, Asia, and North America. Okay, so for each Europe, Asia, and America, actually they use the same department. Okay, research department, production department, sales department, and finance department. So for each VP, actually they can have the information. Okay, they can, if you have any problem and so on, they just focus, just go straight to the research department or production department or sales department or finance department. Do not follow the rules one by one and so on. Okay, that's the best way how if you use it for the matrix global or matrix geographic structure, you can focus, you can the result, you can have the fast rather than we use the area or production and so on, because you can focus. Either you have problem with the research and development department, so just focus to the research and development department. All right. Okay, same goes to the Asia and North America too. Okay, if they have any problem for the sales departments, you just go straight to the sales department. Okay, but why they become more complex? Because sometimes any problem happen in Europe, sometimes the Asia and America, they don't know about that problems. Okay, only that department know for each problems, for each VP problems. Okay, that's why they become more complex. All right, so far so good.
Good, sir.
Good, yeah. All right. Next, the organizing for globalization. So how they can organize for the globalization? They have either they choose for the differentiation or maybe integration. Okay, for differentiation, they try to focusing on and specializing in specific market. So they make a differentiate. okay, for each department or for each market. So that one we can call as a differentiation. Okay, but if they choose for the if they're going for globalization, but they choose for the integration, so coordinating those same market, they use the same market and then the same product and so on. So this is we can call as integration. If they are focused for the specific market, if they do something like differentiation. So maybe in market A they use different types of the products. Okay, market B they use different types of the products. So this one we can call as differentiation. Integration, they choose the same with the same market. This is same product or same service with the same market. So that one we can call as an integration. These are the two things for the organizing for globalization. And then the next one, we have the example of the organization for IBM. Okay, if you look at from the IBM, move away from its traditional geographic structure to a global structure. Okay, from the traditional geographic structure, so or the area structure, and then they move to become a global structure. This is the case based on the IBM company. And then for the Microsoft, reverse its divisional structure. Okay, this division based on the products. Okay, divisional structure disband eight product division. So that's different for IBM. They are focused for the area, and then for the Microsoft, they're focused based on the division. So that's different in terms of this example. All right, and then these another things when we want if the organization we want for the globalization, okay, because they can choose for the be global act local. So what does mean be global act local? So responding to local market structures and consumer preferences along the globalization or regionalization continuum. So means here they try to produce the product for global part, but for each product, they are refer based on what of the country or subsidiary preferences or the consumer preferences. So it means here, for each country, they have a different types of product because based on what are the consumer from that organization or that country preferences. So maybe in country A, like this, the types of product. In country B, they have a different types of product because they based on the consumer preferences and they based on the local market structure. So this is we can call as a be global at local. Okay. And then another way of the organizing for globalization is balance. Okay, balance is allows managers to act independently. Okay, and then keep some centralized control, but decentralized control of foreign subsidiary. So means here, balance means the organization in the home country or in the HQ normally they are control everything. Okay, the HQ control everything in terms of the SOP and so on. But if they have the subsidiaries, okay, the company in the other country, for example, we can call it foreign subsidiary. So they are more to decentralized. Decentralized means the local organization can use their what we call it their SOP, their culture and so on. Okay, so this one we can call as a balance. All right, so later on actually we have the example how we can look at the more to centralize and decentralize later on. All right, so the next one we have the case under Amazon. Okay, Amazon of India uses carrying Daba wallets to spice up a parcel delivery. Okay, this is in terms of the parcel delivery, how they can use the what we call it the logistic things. Okay, if they want to deliver, okay, especially in India, because India, as we know, this is a big company, a big country, and how they can distribute, okay, the products if the consumer use the Amazon. All right, so in an experiment in just-in-time logistic, okay, just-in-time logistic or JIT, Flipkart, okay, they use the Flipkart. The Amazon of India has a tie-up with a bicycle riding delivery or delivery man, and in whom ferry 130,000 lunch box in India financial capital each day. Okay, So at Flipkart's distribution center, riders will pick up books and toys for delivery where they collect lunch. And then the Dabawales are organized into teams of 20. So they are collecting lunch box, sorting them and loading them onto Mumbai trains. And then each different box change hands several times before arriving at its destination. So this is a problem happen in India. So means here for each lunch box and so on. So normally they have to change this hands several times before that lunch box arriving to their customer. Okay, so this is how the Amazon try to focus to make sure the product deliver just in time, and then try to use the Flipkart as one of the what we call it logistic things to deliver their parcel and so on. Okay, any questions so far? Guys,
No, sir.
no question? Sure. All right. If no question, I think we have a break for 10 minutes, and then after that we continue after the slide number 19. Okay. So we meet again around 4:13. Okay, 4:14 or 4:13, something like that, and then we make it and continue for the slide number 19 until slide number 35. All right. So break around 10 minutes first.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
you
sir.
very much. You're most welcome. All right. everyone. Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, still with me. All right. So we continue this slide number 19 until slide number 35. Okay, so this is another example of the company PNG or Procter and Gamble. So the types of the company, they use the think globally, act locally structure. Okay, so why the PNG use this think globally and act locally? If you look at from here, the PNG global or local structure, they have the global business units. So the philosophy of the global business unit is think globally. And then the market development organization or MDO, for the PNG, the philosophy they use, they act locally. So they are preferred choose their product and so on based on the local preferences or local consumer preferences. And then for the global business services or GBS, the philosophy of the PNG is to provide business technology and services. And then for the corporate function for the PNG, the philosophy is maintain place as leader of industries. So until now, they become a leader for the industry, especially under the type of the product under the PNG. Okay. All right. Next, slide number 20. So comparative management in focus, changing organization structure of emerging market companies. So these cases, if they make emerging market companies, so if they choose for the emerging market, normally they must change the organization structure. Okay, why? Because of major variables, company, global involvement, and degree of localization. So the involved is more than two or more country, especially for the global involvement. And in fast-growing companies from emerging markets using expansion model, which are unique. And then many emerging market corporations avoid traditional roadmap to internalization and then find niche market. Okay, niche market means the small market or the motor focus market where competition is limited and then thriving old economy industries that have been abandoned by established MNC. So that's why they must change the organization structure if they choose for the emerging market. Okay. The next learning goes from this chapter to understand the role of technology in evolution of the network structure and to appreciate, okay, the role of team in achieving business goals. All right, so if you look at from here for the relational networks, okay, they must have two things. The first one is IFOM. So they have the example of the organization or company from Acer from Taiwan, and then Royal Philips Electronics. And then another one, they have the platformization, and then the example of the company is Intel. So if you look at from here, Intel and Acer is something like the organization, they come up with the laptop and so on. So it's different in terms of the processor and so on. So this is the same industry, but they try to beat, okay, each other, and they become the relational networks. Okay, so this one we can call as the inter-organizational networks. So inter-organizational based on the different organization, but the same industry. All right. The next one, this is the global e-corporation, okay, or electronic corporation network structure. So in this case, they give the example from the customer. Okay, the customer name is Helen. Okay, Helen customer, they order the products, okay, from that organization, maybe application or website, and then they use the PayPal or other what we call it, online banking or something like the what we call it, the e-commerce platform. And then the firm X, okay, the company or the organization assembly from for the virtual, okay, through the system. And then they may choose either components, parts, supply chain, or maybe from the B2B or business to business suppliers exchange. So depends if the product must choose for the components, parts, supply chain, and then they must choose for the component, parts, supply chain, and then B2B supplier, or maybe just direct to the B2B, business to business. Maybe they from the apps they use, they inform to the organization about the or the product order from the Helen. Okay, And then after that, the contract manufacturer, okay, so contract manufacturer come out with the products, and then either they may choose the distributors, okay, or maybe based on their own logistic B2B exchange. So depends. If they have the distributor, they must channel the order for the Helen as to the distributor, or maybe they choose for the B2B exchange. Okay, so the example of the transportation, we have the example FedEx or UPS or other platform of the distributor, okay, or logistic platform. And then from the logistic B2B exchange, if you look at from here, the process go to the firm X, B2C or business to customer exchange. So the order just sent to the Helen, so Helen received the order. Okay, or either if they use the FedEx or UPS, they use the platform of the logistic to send the products to the Helen. So Firm X customer support. So Helen become a Firm X customer support. So if you look at from here, they have two keys here. The first one is bricks and motor. Okay, this is based on the physical processes. And then the virtual transaction, they use the information flow. So they have different things. So either they choose for the virtual transaction that we can call as an application in electronics, and then for the physical processes that the brown color. Okay, that's the motor physical part. All right. So that's the different global e-cooperation network structure. Then the next one, matrix structure and transnational company coordination and control system. So if you look at from here, the attempts to combine, okay, if the capabilities and resources of a multinational corporation. So means here they have the capabilities and resources of the multinational corporation, so they can combine together. And then the economies of scale of a global corporation, and then the local responsiveness of a domestic company, and also the ability to transfer technology efficiently, typically of the international structure. So this they may combine if they have the attempts to this all the what we call it situation. Okay, then from here they can coordination and control system. All right, so far so good. Are you still with me, guys? Guys, so far so good.
So far so good, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So far so good, yeah. You feel something like so tired. It's okay. We have another 11 slide, and then we finish our class. Okay, please give more energy. Okay, this is very important. This chapter, this is about the how you can do something like for the structure. Okay, if you work with the MNC or MNE company later on, so you may know what that means for the organizational structure. All right. So the next learning goals. Okay, I think this is second last. Okay, the second last of the learning goals from this chapter, to realize how organization design affect managers' job. For example, on the level and location of decision making. So if you choose for the area, for example, or maybe division organizational structure. So from here, they may affect for the manager job, and at the same time, they may affect for the decision making for the managers. All right. So choose a choice of organizational form. So if you look at from here, the opportunities and need for globalization, or maybe for the opportunities and need for localization. So if they are more to something like need for the globalization, normally they have focused on in terms of the global product structure only. Okay, or maybe if they are focused for the opportunities need and need for localization, so they may focus for the geographic area structure. So they have a different. So if your company choose for the product structure, so you something like the opportunities and need for globalization. Okay, if the organization choose for the area structure, so you means you are more to based on the need for localization. All right. So domestic functional with international division, they have the international company, and then they have the MNC or multinational corporation. Based on they may choose if you're in the middle, either for globalization and localization. So you may prefer to choose for the matrix structure, and then for the global company, And then also they have the TNC, or third national countries. Okay, they prefer to choose for the what we call it, the horizontal organization, alliances and networks, and then a transnational structure. So that's the different. If you choose for the global, again, global product structure, so of course you may focus for the need for globalization. Okay, if you choose for the area structure, so of course you need the opportunities and need for localization. So that's the difference. Right, if you middle half for the globalization and half for the localization, so you may prefer to choose for the matrix structure. All right. So these are the structural variables to implement global strategies. So if you look at from here, we have 4 strategies here: multi-domestic, international, global, and transnational. So the organizational structure for the multi-domestic is global area, and then for the international is international division. Global is product, okay, or division group. And then for the transnational is global matrix. Okay, that's the best organization structure they can choose. And then for the multi-domestic delegation into national units. And for the international is centralized core rest to units. And then global, okay, locate where globally optimum. And then transnational, centralized and decentralized. Okay, later on we have the example what that's mean for decentralized and decentralized. And then for need coordination, multi-domestic, low, no need coordination, so on. And then international, okay, they have the something like a medium coordination. And for global, they have high coordination. And for the transnational, if you choose for the transnational, of course, the coordinate is very high. Okay, and then for the organizational culture, for multi-domestic, a low impact. Okay, for the international, medium impact. And then for the global is very important impact, and then for a transnational is very crucial impact. So that is different in terms of the structural you choose. They become something like the what we call it, based on the strategy you choose for the organization. Either you're more to focus for the multi-domestic, international, global, and transnational. Okay, any questions so far?
No,
Guys,
sir.
no question? Okay, if no question, I move to the next slide, slide number 28. Okay, this is why we must change and design needed when, okay, we need to change the design of the organization if, okay, clashes among division, okay, among of the division they have clashes, and subsidiaries or individual over territories or customers. So if they have any clashes, so you must change the organizational structure. Okay, and then another case is duplication of administrative or personal services, sales officers, account executives. So you must change the organizational structure. And then an increase in overseas customer service complaints. So if you have any lot of complaint by the customer service for the overseas, especially, so you must change. Okay, you must need and change the organizational structure. And then downturn in profitability or finances. So if you are facing this kind of the problems, you must change the organizational structure. And then conflict between overseas and domestic staff, new management with different goals and strategies. So if you change any strategies, if you change any goals or vision and mission of the organization, of course you must change the organization structure. And the last one, you underutilization of overseas manufacturing or distributing facilities. This one also, if you're facing this kind of the problem, you must change the organizational structure. All right. And then the next one, okay, this I mentioned previously about the either they are more to centralized or decentralized. If you look at from here for the locus of decision making in international organization. So if let's say the HQ, okay, the word is HQ. HQ management makes decision and inform local manager. And then the second one, HQ management makes decision and sells to subsidiary managers. And then HQ management makes decision and recommends to local managers. And also for the HQ and local manager consult on decision. So if the words from HQ, the first words is from the HQ, normally this one is they are more to centralized. So all the SOP, all the process, all the decision making from the HQ or from the home country. Okay, if the first word from the local, okay, local manager present problem and solution to HQ for decision, and then local manager make decision and sell to HQ, and local managers make decision and inform HQ. So this one, they are more to decentralize. So they give the opportunity, they give the everything, the decision making and so on based on the local manager. Okay, they are more to decentralize. Okay, and of course, if you look at based on this one, the top one is headquarters authority. So of course, when we talk about HQ, normally HQ they have more authority, and then if they have for the subsidiary or local unit authority, of course, the local manager have the authority to do the decision making and so on. So that's the difference: centralized and decentralized. So far, so good.
Good, sir.
Good, yeah. All right. Next, the last learning goals from this chapter to emphasize the role of control and monitoring system suitable for specific situation in the firm's international operations. Okay, so under the lens, FIFA, okay, for those, especially for the guy, they love to play football and so on, they know what that's meant for the FIFA. Okay, FIFA restructuring for governance oversight of ethics. Okay, so this is the normal one. Okay, President Joseph S. Blatter, and then you have the Executive Office of the President, Christine Maria Botta, and then they have the General Secretary, Jerome Vacco, and then the Communication and Public Affairs, they have Walter D. Gregorio, and then Legal Affairs, they have Marco Villager, and then they have another department, Member Association and Development, Terry Reganis, and then Finance and Administration, Marcus Katner, and then under the finance and administration, Marcus Kotner, they have the HR and service, okay, Christina Collenberg, and in competition, Mustafa Fahmi, and also they have the TV and marketing. So in terms of the TV and marketing, they divide into two: TV, Nicholas Erickson, and marketing, Terry Will. Okay. So what happened in the FIFA, okay, because of their needs to change, okay, about the in terms of the restructuring their organizational, so become like this, okay. So FIFA, Independent Governance Committee. So if you look at from here, they have the FIFA Congress and then FIFA Executive Committee. And then under the FIFA Executive Committee, they have a task force revision of status, and then task force ethics committee, and then task force transparency and compliance, and also the task force football 2014. Okay, under this all the tasks, they have the independent governance committee. So independent governance committee send the what we call it, the decision making or the result to the FIFA executive committee. So all the decision decided by the independent decided by the executive committee, and then the info they come from all the task force. Okay, they change they do something like the restructuring about their organizational structure in terms of the task force. And then the control system for global operation, they have the direct coordinating mechanism or maybe indirect coordinating mechanism. So direct coordinating mechanism, we have the example McDonald's in Moscow. Okay, problem quality control. So the solution built a processing plant in Moscow and provided managerial training. And then the other option, visit by head office personnel and regular meetings. So the direct coordinating mechanism by the McDonald company. And then for the indirect coordinating mechanism, if you look at from here, the example is sales codes, budget and financial tools and reports. So where we can find the information or the statement based on this case? We have the three financial statement, either one for accounting standard in host country, in the subsidiary country, and then one for the standards in the home country, from the home country or the owner of the organization, and then another one is one for consolidation. So they have the three financial statements here, and then from here they might choose the indirect coordinating mechanism. So from here they may come up with a solution in terms of the problems they are facing, especially for the financial part. Okay, are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, so we move to the next slide, managing effective monitoring system. So how we want to manage for the effective monitoring system? Of course, in terms of the rule of information system. This is the first one. We must know what are the rules of the information system. So after they know the role of the information system, we must have the appropriateness of monitoring and reporting system. And after that, we must do the evaluation. Okay, they evaluate a variable across country. So maybe for each country they have a different problems. They're facing their different problems and cases and so on. So that's why they must have the evaluation variables across countries. So from here, you may manage the effective monitoring system. Maybe in country A they have a different problems, country B they have a different problems, country C they have a different problem. So each problems they must have the different solution. So this is the best way. You must know the role of the information system, and then you must appropriate with the monitoring and reporting system. And the last one, what are the best solution? Okay. And the last slide for the conclusion. An organization must be designed to facilitate the implementation of the strategic goals, reflect its international entry strategy, and changes over time. So before we choose for the entry mode or the entry strategy, either franchise or licensing, or the outsourcing, or maybe the manufacturing contract and other entry level or entry strategy, you must look at based on what are the strategic goals, what are the vision and mission of the organization. Okay, this is very important. And an MNC or multinational corporation can be regarded as inter-organizational networks. Okay, if you work with the MNC, you must have the inter-organizational network. Okay, easy to manage the products or the service to the international level. And then transitional structure allows a company to be global and act local. Okay, if you want to go for the global and then you act local by using decentralized networks. So you give the authority in the local manager or the subsidiary country to manage, okay, what we call it, to manage about their product, the product or service in their country, because they know well about what the consumer preferences based on their country needed. And then indication of the needs for structural changes include inefficiency, conflict among units, etc. So if you have you're facing the 5 problems, as I mentioned previously, you must change the organizational structure. Okay, this is to make sure you can, what we call it, um, you can manage. Okay, you can become something like sustain in the market. And then appropriate monitoring system must be in place. Okay, you must have a good monitoring system to make sure you can, what we call it, give a good feedback and then give a good solution to settle any problems. All right, any questions so far, guys?
No.
No, sir.
No question? Sure. All right. Okay, I try to set up your attendance first. IP20. Okay, are you ready for your attendance?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Atirah Roslan.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Azim Firdaus.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Hanis Najiha.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Ilyana Shamira. Thank you. Next, Inani Hazimi.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Irtina.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Maldati Shakira.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Maldiyah Qurratu Aini.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Amirul Ashraf. Muhammad Amirul Ashraf bin Amir Hussein. Okay, last call for Muhammad Amirul Ashraf bin Amir Hussein. Okay, absent. Muhammad Afiq Ikhwan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Nabil Fikri.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Syawal Iqbal. Muhammad Syawal Iqbal Mahasan. Last call for Muhammad Syawal Iqbal bin Mahasan. Absent. Next, Muhammad Adili Aiman.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Daniel.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Haziq Zikri.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Muhammad Nias.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Naiman Izzuddin.
Ada, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nick Nur Sarima.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nur Adrina Munira.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nur Atikah Rusli.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nur Hanis Diana.
Attend, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nurul Huda.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nurul Khairunisa.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Next, Nurul Syafiqah Wahyuni.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nurul Syahira.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Nurul Syahmina Amira.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Risha Zuaida.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Siti Aisyah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, Shazana.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next one, Muhammad Zuhairi Akmal. One, Muhammad Zuhairi Akmal bin Asmawi. Last call for one, Muhammad Zuhairi Akmal bin Asmawi. Absent. And the last person, Xavier Isayahwi.
Present, sir.
All right. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please use our WhatsApp group. And one more thing before I forgot regarding your video project. Any question? Ada soalan tak pasal video project?
Video project, sir.
Ada soalan tak? Submission date bila Bulan depan kan? Six of bila saya kata? Submit? 6 of 23rd May. Oh, bulan ni lah. 23rd hari Ahad. Confirm?
Kau tak silap.
Macam bukan je takkan hari Ahad. Betul Okay.
Saya kata 23rd May.
23rd May. Okay, another 2 weeks lah. Plus minus tak sampai pun seminggu je. Okay, if you have any questions, so please ask me now. Ada apa-apa nak tanya pasal video project? Okay, later on, please remind me to share the example of the video project. Okay, grup yang pagi tadi, tengah hari tadi saya dah sharekan satu contoh. Sebelum saya terlupa, nanti kejap lagi remind saya. Boleh? Okay, boleh jadi guidelines.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, alright. So, if no question, I dismiss our class. Thank you very much for today, and I wish to everyone selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, maaf zahir dan batin. So, to Xavier, thank you very much. Okay, all the wishes regarding the Teachers' Day and so on. Thank you very much, guys, for yesterday. And inshallah, we meet again for the next week, inshallah, on 24th, okay, 24th of May. And please pray for me because tomorrow is my date for the vaccine, okay, in PWTC. Inshallah,
Good luck, sir.
at PWTC, inshallah. Thank you
Is
very
it
much.
compulsory, sir?
Actually depends, okay. Okay, actually, vaksin ni dia macam kita pakai tali pinggang keledar lah kan. Kalau accident, so dia boleh menyelamatkan lah. Tak adalah kata orang kalau meninggal juga. Kan sama juga konsep dia. Kalau kita at least kita dah ada vaksin, kalau kita terkena COVID-19, at least tak adalah teruk sangat. Sebab dia dah ada antibody dalam diri kita. So, kalau kena pun, positif pun, kita boleh relax lagi lah berbanding yang tak ada vaksin. Kalau terkena, itu yang sampai ke ICU dan sebagainya. So kalau ada peluang dan ruang, ada masuk untuk vaksin, vaksin lah. Itu pesanan saya. Saya tak ada paksaan. Tapi saya dengar kalau nak pergi overseas, kena ada record vaksin, cucuk vaksin. Kalau tak ada, tak boleh saya dengar. Macam nak pergi haji, umrah, kena ada cucuk vaksin. Kalau tak ada, tak boleh. So, I hope by crowd saya rasa jadi wajib lah kan? Betul tak?
Betul, sir.
Kan? Saya nak pergi overseas ni dah kaki ni dah ringan nak berjalan keluar negara. Kan, so saya nak cucuk. Ha?
Plan
Apa dia?
pergi mana tu?
Paling dekat Indonesia je lah kot. Tak jauh-jauh. Indonesia jimat banyak.
Oh.
Kan? Itulah. So ada masa dan ruang, ada masa nama naik untuk vaksin, silalah pergi vaksin. Tak payahlah dengar cerita orang lain tu. Tak apa. Orang kata kalau kita nak mati, anytime kita akan mati. Itu pesanan saya. Okay. Tapi itulah make sure siapa-siapa yang nak vaksin tu saya dengar. Adalah juga dengar tips. Dia kata kalau boleh breakfast. Kalau yang sesi pagi macam saya sesi petang 7 malam saya kena makan siap-siap. Sebab biasalah satu benda yang baru kan dia nak lawan, dia nak masuk ke badan kita kena ada at least alas perut lah. Macam kita nak makan ubat jugalah. Dia ada sebelum dan selepas makan kan. Okay? Okay.
Okay, sir. Good luck, sir.
InsyaAllah.
Like, sir.
InsyaAllah. Thank you very
Saya nak
much.
tanya boleh?
Boleh. Siapa tu? Hanis eh? Yes.
Intake kita orang, intake Oktober bila masuk kampus?
Maksud awak akan mula dekat kampus semula ke?
Sebenarnya
Sebenarnya semua tak masuk kampus lagi. Semua work, actually saya pun dekat 2 tahun dah ni work from home. Tak masuk office lagi. Start daripada COVID hari tu memang all the lecturer lah tak masuk office kecuali admin. Admin ada masuk sebab dia gunakan sistem. Sistem kita hanya boleh menggunakan internet dalaman sahaja. So internet luar kadang-kadang dia tak boleh nak fix. So that's why staff admin dia kena masuk office tapi 30% for per day. So dia ada dia punya jadual lah. Macam kami as a lecturer memang work from home.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
insyaAllah. So apa-apa nanti tunggu info daripada you punya SRC sebab SRC dengan SDCL dia ada link kan. So any information untuk come back to the campus and so on. So normally the information come from the SRC and SDCL. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Alright. And then campus kita dekat Queen City Mall pun saya dengar dah siap dah. Cantik sangat. Macam you all sempat lah. Macam you punya senior tak sempat lah kot. Especially yang dah last sem. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Alright. You're most welcome. Okay, see you on next week insyaAllah on 24th of May. Yes, Ilyana?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, welcome. Alright, you're most welcome. Okay, selamat Hari Raya untuk semua. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and have a nice day.
You too,
Selamat
sir.
Raya,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat
Ah?
Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good luck for
Yeah.
your